Hello and welcome to God Talk. Thanks for tuning in, and do leave a comment about anything that strikes you in this video. There is a clear distinction in theology between God and the character with the name God that appears in biblical stories and elsewhere. This can be very confusing, but it's a very important distinction. Lots of things can be said about the character called God. That God can be angry and jealous, loving and merciful, playful and mischievous. The character called God will vary from story to story. God in Old Testament stories can act in a different way from the character called God in the New Testament. The God in one story can be related to the character of God in others. So the God of Abraham is said to be the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. This is rather like Jean Rhys wondering how Bertha Mason in the novel Jane Eyre came to be imprisoned in the tower at Thornfield Hall. As we read her novel, The Wide Sagassa Sea, we realise that Bertha in her novel is Bertha in Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre. None of this can be said of God. God has a special grammar and logic. God, unlike the character named God, is not the name of a thing, nor is God an example of something. So God is not a God. God is not a person. God is not a being. God is not a anything. As Thomas Aquinas wrote, God is not a being, God is being. There's a little video about that in this series. Strictly speaking, adjectives cannot be applied to God. To say God is a good God would be to imply there could be a bad God, or God could be other than good. Rather, it is said God is goodness, love, or wisdom. This distinction is not, of course, always made, and in liturgies, hymns and sermons the writer will move from story to theology and the character name God to God. To those who use religious language regularly, this isn't usually confusing. Outsiders can find it strange and ask questions of God which can really only apply to the character name God. Religious stories and the character of God in those stories do have an important use in making the believer more aware of God. We'll explore this in another video. Do leave a comment and let us know what you think. And thanks again for watching.